Yeah, what you're hearing right now, I need to turn up this music a little bit. I guess what I was scared of is having some copyright situation. But yes, it is a little bit of a late addition. I do apologize. Sometimes you got to take care of things. Yes, I know I'm live. Yes, I'm doing a sound check as we speak. This is what we do here in the sports web. How do you Buccaneer fans feel? And I kind of probably have to be a little bit quiet tonight, believe it or not. You know why? Because I got roommates that are sleeping. Hopefully they can't hear me. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Phone lines are open as always. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. We should have Seneca Wallace on with us to start the show. So we may not take phone calls right away, but afterwards, we'll definitely be ready to go. Talking to your Bucs fans as the sky was falling the last couple of days for you guys. But I told you what was going to happen. And I'm about to play that video. That's right. I'm about to pat myself on the back. And that's okay. You know why? Because when you're right, you're right. And when you got your own show and you're a boss, you can do whatever the hell you want to. So here goes. Here was my prediction after the Bucs lost to the Commanders. Have it. And then going back to Coen, people thinking he's going to go to Jacksonville. Why would you go to Jacksonville? Trevor Lawrence? I mean, what's in Jacksonville? I get it, you get a coaching job, but did anybody ever think it could be a Ben Johnson situation where once again he looks at the landscape of the National Football League and he says, you know what? I don't want to go to another coaching job. I want to stay here in Tampa. I want to finish it up. I want to gain that experience. Maybe there is a contingency plan. We talked to TJ. He doesn't know what the Glazers are going to do. But do you honestly think they're going to allow Coen to get out of here? I don't think so. So let's let it play out. Let's not lose our minds here and think just because there's a coaching opening that Liam Coen is going to fill it. I get it. He's a hot commodity, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to that coaching job. It's about situation. It's about fit. Does that fit? Does Coen going to Jacksonville fit? As the win picks up here, we're live at Raymond James Stadium. I'm your host, Peter Blake, after the Bucs lose to the Commanders 23-20. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television on a happy of the sports web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. How do we start off this show? As you know what? I don't necessarily want to be too loud because, again, the roommates are sleeping. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. So what about a Bucs fans? The last couple of days, you thought the sky was falling, right? And what did I tell you? What did I tell you about this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team? Have faith in this organization. Have faith in Jason Light. So they keep Liam Coen on as he is not going to be the new coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's going to be one of the highest paid coordinators in the National Football League. They had a contingency plan. Why break that up at the end of the day, right? So let's go ahead and give credit to where credit is due. Great job by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? But they did lose John Spytek, who has been the assistant GM since 2023. He's been with the Buccaneer organization for 9 years, to the Las Vegas Raiders and Tom Brady. He is the new general manager now. So, once again, some loss there, but you get your offensive coordinator back. And as I said, there may be some defensive coordinators that are going to be fired. On tonight's show, we'll have former NFL quarterback Mr. Seneca Wallace on with us, back in the air chair. It's great to have him back. I definitely want to talk about this Buccaneer situation, get his thoughts about how important an offensive coordinator is to that offense, as Baker Mayfield has had multiple offensive coordinators now for a second straight year. He will have Coen at the helm. We'll also have the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. And as always, we'll take your phone calls. We may have the media icon, Mr. TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network, on at 10 o'clock, or we may not. No turnbuckle talk tonight. We will talk some wrestling if you want to. No Ralph Williams, no Mark Mancini. So it's open phone lines, as always, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. And, of course, Trent Baalke fired. Is that shocking? He should have been fired a couple years ago when he was able to kill Jim Harbaugh's career. What he's done in Jacksonville. What's the record there for the Jacksonville Jaguars? He should have been fired a long time ago. Listen, I know you want to get out to the phone lines, but before we do that, let's go out to the legend himself. Here we go. Let's go out to Mr. Leo Haggerty there, from a Coach Scout and now media member. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. an eventful day, if you will, if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, because Liam Coen, everybody was kind of worried about the sky is falling. You're going to lose your best offensive coordinator, maybe the best offense you've had here in the last 10 years. And that's saying something with Tom Brady, but they get him signed up, probably the highest paid, one of the highest paid coordinators in the National Football League. Welcome to the Evolution.
Peter, I hate to throw some sand on your argument.
It's okay.
Here's what worries me.
Mm-hmm.
If Liam Coen called the Jacksonville Jaguars and said, I don't think I want to interview because I can't get along with Trent Baalke.
Right.
Jacksonville just fired Baalke.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they make a run back at Liam Coen? I think they do. And that's what's scary right now.
Well, we
don't know how that was left. And again, if it was left that Liam Coen was very happy, except, hey, I can't deal with the general manager. Well, now, hey, Liam, whatever the Bucs offer you, we'll beat it, and you'll have a say in who the general manager is.
Yeah.
That scares me, Peter.
And I got no sound effects again, so I don't know what's going on. We'll figure it out. I have no idea. I'm done with the sound effects at this point. Let's go out to the Greek. Sorry, no music. You got your wish again, Greek. The curse of the
thank
Greek.
you, Jesus.
Nobody can hear this at this point.
Nope.
You guys can't hear that?
Nope.
Okay.
Hump day. I couldn't hear hump day.
I couldn't hear that either. All right. So Greek. Yes, Greek. Liam Coen comes back here. Hold your thought here, because I don't want this man to wait much longer. I don't know. I guess he went dark there, so I don't know what happened to Seneca Wallace. So hopefully we can get Seneca back. Okay. So there he is. There. Let's go out to NFL court. Seneca Wallace, right, coming back with us here. But Greek, give me your thoughts here on keeping Liam Coen in the fold for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
We've got some serious bad audio going on. Hang on, keep talking. We do this on the fly. Let me shut his mic off.
Yes,
testing.
Mic.
It's Leo's mic. Okay, now I see what it is.
Yes.
I see Seneca sitting up in the background over there, so now he's forced to listen to the Greek when he's talking about how'd them Packers do in that game.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I see the look back there. I'm only kidding, Seneca. You know what I'm talking about. No, it's really good that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were able to keep Liam Coen. I thought he's a year away from being removed anyway. However, he did sign a really large contract. And I'll tell you what, they paid that man. Well deserving. But then again, you never know what you're going to get with a first-time OC that becomes a head coach. I mean, that's just the reality in the National Football League. True. Sometimes I like to have coaches that have already had experience, because if, in fact, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree with this, when you have failure, that's the only way you learn to become successful. So I'm kind of reserved, and I think I know what the next question is going to be. But Pete, I'll tell you what, it's got to be a good day in Tampa Bay, and I'm sure you're really happy about that.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy about it at the end of the day, for everything that's happened at this point, because all you heard the last couple of days is the sky is falling. They're going to lose Liam Coen. They should fire Todd Bowles. They should do this. They should do that. It's a terrible organization. And I said, have faith. Everything will work out just fine. And sure enough, as always, it worked out. Let's go out to former NFL quarterback, Mr. Seneca Wallace. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's been a while, my friend. A lot of things have happened. But before we get into that, congratulations to your alma mater there, Mr. Iowa State and Rocco Beck getting that big-time win over the Miami Hurricanes. Talk about that really quick.
Man, I mean, was thrilled of what I saw out of the Iowa State Cyclones this year and Rocco Beck. I mean, obviously they had an opportunity there. I actually went to the Big 12 championship game against Arizona State, and Arizona State, rightfully so, was a team that needed to be in the college playoffs. Let me just say that. And they came in, they hit us in the mouth early. We came out the second half, had 3 straight turnovers. Lost that game and got out of hand quick. But the resiliency of what I saw with them getting picked to play in that bowl game down in Orlando, I believe, right?
Yes.
And play against Miami in the Pop-Tart Bowl. I mean, it just shows what what Iowa State as a program is built. They're built to go and deal with any team. It'd be Miami. It'd be from somebody from the Pac-12, the Big Ten. They're a team that is now here to stay, and we're seeing it in all phases because we're actually seeing it in basketball right now, where they're in the top 5. And so I'm so proud to be a Cyclone. I'm so proud to be able to sit here and talk with confidence about our sports and the direction that our AD has our school going. So kudos go off to Iowa State beating Miami in that bowl game.
Seneca, I want to ask you the question while we're on the Iowa State. Are you amazed they've been able to keep Coach Campbell as long as he had? I think he's the hottest commodity in college football, and nobody seems to want to get him. He's turned Iowa State back into a relevant football program. Are you surprised he's still there?
I'm not surprised, Leo, just because the things that I've talked to Coach Campbell about is about, he's trusting the process. And you got to think about this too, Leo. They're in Ames, Iowa, and he is getting paid millions of dollars to coach football, something that he loves.
Ames, isn't he?
He's the king of Ames. And so why jump ship and have to go somewhere like Ohio State or some one of the other programs that there's a lot expected? Now, there's going to be a lot expected of Coach Campbell. As things go and that city starts to expand and they're starting to pump in money into that program, they're going to expect us to win. But who would ever thought in 2025, the second time that we'll be playing in the Big 12 championship? And so he knows where home is. They're taking care of him. He's getting paid good money. He's starting to get the players that he wants to his program. And that's where we're starting to see the success. Instead of jumping in there, win a couple games every year, maybe go to a bowl game, and then jump ship and go to a bigger program. And so we're building that legacy there for him right now.
Absolutely. And let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because how surprised were you? First round exit to the Washington Commanders. And by the way, the Commanders are in the NFC Championship game. First, how surprised were you that the Bucs were eliminated? And how surprised are you with the Commanders being in the NFC Championship game? Did you see this coming? Not surprised at all. The thing is you got a quarterback on the opposite side in Jaden Daniels who is unfazed, stays even-keeled, plays the same. It doesn't matter if they're playing a terrible New England team or they're playing a high-powered team like the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a kid that was destined for this moment. And I say this, I've said this at the beginning on other talk shows, that Jaden Daniels was unanimously my rookie of the year, period. And at this point right now, he's almost in conjunction talks with saying he could possibly be the MVP. Now, we know he's not going to be with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and those guys, Saquon Barkley. But at the level that he has performed, being a rookie, to do the things that he's doing, and obviously he's not doing what Houston Texans quarterback did last year. But the level to take the Washington Commanders, where they haven't been in the postseason in almost 2 decades, to get them in a position now where they could possibly be in the Super Bowl. This kid is playing lights out, and it did not surprise me that he went on the road. And every year we see it from a wild card team that will go on the road and they will win on the road in Tampa. They will win on the road in Detroit. And now they're giving themselves an opportunity to make it to the Super Bowl. Now, mind you, Detroit was banged up. They've lost everybody. If they were super healthy where they were last year, I'm definitely taking Detroit to win that game. But this kid is unfazed, and I love what he's doing, and I probably got them winning the next game against Philly. Wow. Winning the next game against Philly, that's a tall task. You're going to have to defend Saquon Barkley, but do they remind you of the 2007 Giants? And I'll give credit to where credit is due. Dave Ruffalo, one of the great web heads there, and I remember that team. They came out of nowhere. They actually defeat the Bucs in the first round. I believe they beat the San Francisco 49ers at the time, or Green Bay? I don't know who they defended in the second round, but Green Bay. They defeated Green Bay in the second round. So are you surprised could they be the New York Giants, in your opinion, where basically they have the momentum, and that's why it's so important, Seneca, when you get the mo, as my co-host would say, Mr. Handicapper Extraordinaire Harry the Greek, when you get that mo, that you run with it.
When you get that mo, you run with it. And that's why it's always dangerous when you get a team that's hungry, like the Washington Commanders, who are in a wild card spot, and then you get a Detroit team that gets the first round bye. We always see it. We saw it with Kansas City against Houston.
Yeah.
Obviously, they came out and they played flat, right? And so I always think that even for us, when I was in Seattle and we got that first round bye, we were clicking on all cylinders before that. Then you lose a little bit of that mo. Let's keep that juice and that momentum going through the playoffs. And so I just think right now with Commanders, yes, they're going to remind me of the New York Giants. And mark my words, I got them beating Philadelphia. Yes, if they can stop, just because right now we can sit here and say that the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles is not playing at a high level, not the level that we've seen him play at. And we know right now that their running game is their big thing. That's what they've been doing. If the Commanders and Dan Quinn can figure out a way to stop Saquon Barkley, be able to make sure he doesn't get to the second level and utilize his speed, I think that the Commanders definitely could win this ball game.
I love. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Harry. I'll jump in.
No, go ahead, Leo. Go ahead. I'll jump in.
Saquon Barkley, yeah. Okay, fine. I went on ABC 7 when Washington was playing Tampa Bay, and Natalie Spalla asked me, point blank, what's the Bucs' biggest fear in this game? And it's going to be the same fear that the Eagles had. The biggest fear the Bucs had was Washington having the ball at the end of the game with a chance to tie or win it, because it forces the defense to play soft zone. Mm-hmm. You can't play man-to-man against Jaden Daniels. He showed what happened in Detroit. They had 2 free runners. I've never seen this before. 2 free runners at him. He just passed them. Boom,
right.
Boom. You can't play man-to-man. And look what they did against the Bucs. Peter, I think it was 17 plays down the field. It was like Novocaine. And that's what it does. He knows exactly what he's going to get. He's going to get 2 high safeties. He's going to get a soft zone. Work it down. That's the Eagles' biggest fear. If he gets the ball at the end, that's what he's going to see, and that is going to be poison to the Eagles. Say, what do you think, Seneca?
No, you're on to something. I mean, you got to think about the way he's playing. He's deadly accurate. He's a kid that can beat you with his legs. He's smart. He never gets rattled. You can hit him as much as you want. He's going to get back up. And you got to think about some of the things that they had to go through this season. The adversity piece, the resilience piece, winning games on Hail Marys. I believe beating Tampa where the ball hits the crossbar, the inside of the crossbar. So a lot of these things that are happening for the Commanders almost spells destiny for me. And I think the way that they're playing and this kid being able to play at the level that he's playing and never making the moment too big, and then utilizing his skill set with his legs and picking and choosing when he decides to use them, that makes a deadly recipe. What has happened over the last few years when a quarterback has gotten the postseason, and we know who's been in the postseason, we know who's been in the championship, it's been Pat Mahomes. And what has he done well? He's extend plays and he's beat teams, even in the Super Bowl, even in the playoffs, utilizing his legs and doing anything that he can to get the win. And that's what Jaden Daniels is doing.
Yeah. Harry, you want to chime in?
I want to piggyback on what Seneca was talking about. I mean, first off, let me explain. The Washington Commanders, when they entered this week after they upset Detroit, automatically came out and they were 4.5-point underdogs going into this game. This game is already Philadelphia -6. Seneca, you know as well as I do, it's very difficult to beat a team not once but twice in the same season. And Washington, well, they did come back and make a really good victory against Philadelphia, but it wasn't without Jalen Hurts. They knocked him out of the game. I actually agree with you, Seneca. Right now, Jaden Daniels is a better quarterback than Hurts.
Correct.
And it's not even debatable.
Not even close.
But The offensive line for Philadelphia, the running game, that defense is absolutely stout. Vic Fangio's got these boys playing at such a high level, and it doesn't surprise me. Which, by the way, I'm not understanding why he's not getting considerations for becoming a head coach of the National Football League. Should have been one way back before John Fox got the Bears job. But anyway, to make my point, you're right, Seneca. Jaden Daniels is playing at an extremely high level, and I like the Washington Commanders to win the game.
Wow.
Just like they did against Detroit. Let me tell you something. They showed me something against Tampa. Tampa's defense was very similar to what was going on to Detroit. Okay, they were banged up, they were bruised, they weren't playing all that great, even though statistically they were a lot better than Detroit. He found a way to win. And sometimes, especially in gambling, and I've always said to Seneca, I'd rather be lucky than good any day of the week. Because you need a little bit of luck along with that mo. And let me tell you something, Washington, they're not a better football team, but they're a better team. I don't know if that makes sense to the people that are out there.
Without a doubt. I mean, my rebuttal to that is I 100% agree with you. I think Jalen Hurts is not doing enough, in my opinion, as a quarterback, and he's going to have to do a lot in order to beat the Commanders. Right now, the Commanders are adjusting their defensive philosophy with Dan Quinn to stop the run. Try to make Philadelphia beat you passing the ball, and they have not done that very well over the last couple of weeks.
Seneca, the Philadelphia Eagles will not run. I'm telling you now, Dan Quinn is going to find a way to shut down Barkley. I understand that this man is playing at another level. And I agreed when they rested him not to set the record because you've seen what happened in the playoffs. But let me be clear when I say this. Dan Quinn is a defensive genius. Absolute genius. The man is a beast. I'm predicting that Barkley doesn't even run for 100 yards. How does that sound?
There you go. And I would have to second that. I just think the way Dan Quinn has taken control of that locker room and that organization and has given them a level of belief that it's going to be very hard for Philadelphia to beat these dudes playing at the level of mojo that they're bringing to the table right now.
Going back to Jalen Hurts, because you mentioned something, what do you think that Jalen Hurts is not doing this year that he did in years past? Go ahead and dissect his game a little bit, because we know how Jalen Hurts can play. He's played at an MVP level. What do you see that he's doing, what he did back then? What is he not doing right now that's convincing you that this Eagles team is ready to ascend to the Super Bowl?
Number one, he's not playing with a level of swagger and confidence that you need to play at this position. I'm not seeing it. He's playing flat. He's not playing with a sense of urgency. He's not playing aggressive. I don't know if that's a selection by Kellen Moore, but you got to see more. We know in the postseason, it comes down to literally the best quarterback at that position usually wins the game. From a standpoint of whatever it is, I don't care if it's a defense, it's one singular play, one singular scramble, one singular throw. And we haven't seen that. I didn't see that in the last game against Philadelphia. I mean, let's just be honest. They could have lost that game if Saquon didn't have that big run. Saquon had that big run, and it was kind of demoralizing to that defense. But Jalen Hurts didn't really do a whole lot in that game for them to win it. Now, when you have a good defense like they do, they're opportunistic, and absolutely, they're going to keep you in ball games.
Well, they get after it, man.
They get after it. They get after it. But at the end of the day, does that scare Jaden Daniels and the Commanders? I don't think so. He's seen it. Like I said, the level of resiliency and the things that you go through helps your identity as an offense and the character and the makeup of what it's going to look like in the postseason, regardless.
I got a question for you. I want you to go back to your roots. Go back to being a rookie. You're now Jaden Daniels. You're leading this team to the NFC Championship. Go to a 4-screen, please.
Yeah, sure, fine.
You're going to the NFC Championship, Seneca. What are you hoping that game plan is going to look like the first 15 plays? Are you coming out slinging the ball, or are you going to develop a little momentum? Because, listen, I know this kid doesn't get rattled. This is the NFC Championship. The winner's going to the Super Bowl. You know he's going to be a little amped up. Take me there. You've played this game at this level. Talk to me.
Like I said before, when we evaluated, I'll be the GM. When we evaluated Jaden Daniels, we evaluated him on every aspect. And the reason why is because we knew that this kid was ready for this moment. There's a reason why he was a Heisman winner. There was a reason why he was at LSU playing against the top talent in the country to prepare him for this moment. You think he's worried about playing in an NFC championship game? And he's a kid who has been at Arizona State, left there, went to LSU, led that season, his senior year, statistics-wise. He's not throttled. He is not rattled by anything. And as a rookie, I have Cliff Kingsbury as my offensive play caller. And I know that right now, going into this game, every single situation that Dan Quinn has put me in practice, Cliff Kingsbury has put me in practice, every situation I'm ready for. There's not going to be anything against Philadelphia that I'm not going to be prepared for, look-wise. I was reading something the other day that they said he uses goggles to prepare mentally, to train his eyes to make sure he's seeing what he's seeing. That's next level. And with technology in 2025, that's what these kids are doing.
Yeah.
He knows what's to come before it even happens. And that's the beautiful thing about this guy that takes us all the way back through his journey through Arizona State, LSU, showing this overcoming adversity and dealing with things that are thrown at him to prepare him for this moment. This moment is not too big for him. This is just another game for Jaden Daniels.
So you really honestly think that this is just going to be another game? Even I would be like,
agreed. You can never make moments bigger than they are. Because you know why? Just like you're sitting here right now, like, oh my gosh. You don't want to be like that. No. I mean, that's literally AJ Brown. We see him reading a book on the sideline. Let's get back centered to what is the most important thing.
Mm.
It's getting the win. If I get out too far, Jaden Daniels does not want to make this moment too big. You let us in the media talk about how big this moment is.
Yeah.
I'm just focused on doing the same thing I've been doing since I was a little cub. It's just more glitz and glamour that's going to be watching this game.
A little more flash bulbs going off.
You know what, guys? Seneca, I'm going to throw this one out at you. Here's my big thing. This game's going to be won and lost in the trenches. Because when you look at what the Eagles' offensive line is doing, there are times that Saquon gets 10 yards down the field untouched. If that happens, Washington's getting beat. You're not going to have to throw the ball. If he drops another 150, 200 on Washington, there's the problem. Because, one, it's chewing up clock. Two, it's forcing Washington to stay on the sidelines with their most important weapon. And, guys, I'm going to throw this out right now for all three of you.
Yeah.
Why is Jaden Daniels not at the top of the conversation for MVP this year? Because without him, Washington isn't in this. And that's the most valuable player to me.
I think
because you got a Buffalo quarterback and Allen, and you got another quarterback with 40 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions, right? Just on the other side of the bay. But you know what, Leo? That was a great point. But let me be really clear when I say this. It's a little easier when you're a defensive coordinator when you don't respect the passing game. And that is exactly what Philadelphia is going to do. They're not going to put 7 and 8 in the box. If they have to put 9 and run man on the corners, okay, they're going to do that. They are going to force Jalen Hurts to pass and beat them. They are not going to let Barkley go off like that. Believe you when I tell you this. They will not let Barkley do this. If they're stuffing 7 and 8 and 9 up in that box and they're forcing you to pass the football, God bless you, because Jalen Hurts doesn't scare me at all. Not right now.
And remember this. Who did they go out and get to help bolster their man-to-man coverage?
Lattimore.
Marshawn.
They went out and got a corner that could play man-to-man, which you guys know in that division when he had to go up against Mike Evans every year.
Yep.
This is a guy that is not afraid to get in your face.
He's a fan favorite here in Tampa.
And force and force, just like we're talking about, let's force Jalen Hurts to beat us. He hasn't shown it this year.
Seneca, I'm going to throw this one out at you now. I saw a great thing on Facebook today where a guy put out that a referee has already called Buffalo for roughing the passer today on Patrick Mahomes. Does the NFL need to look at this sliding rule? Because, yeah, I get it. You want to hit the quarterback, but you can't wait till a guy's one step away from you and then slide and expect to get the call. That's driving me nuts. And I'll tell you what, I put out, there's a simple way to solve this. If you're a quarterback and you break the line of scrimmage and you go 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, guess what? Now you're a running back. Now, the only way you get protection is if you slide before you are 5 yards from a player in front of you. Because look what happened to Trevor Lawrence. He waited till the last minute. Yeah, he took a hit, but that guy can't avoid him. And they should not allow the people to look at this in slow motion. The game's not played in slow motion.
Right.
It's played in fast motion. And do you think they need to reevaluate this rule at the end of the season?
Leo, it's so hard. That's a good question. It is so hard because the speed of the game is vastly different from what the outside world is actually watching. The speed of the game and actually being on that field to determine, hey, this quarterback has broken the pocket and he's going to slide feet first. I got to let up. These defenders are being trained one way and one way only. See ball, get ball. We're rallying to the ball, right? And so when you get a quarterback,
ill humor, right?
Right. And when you get a quarterback that breaks a pocket, and here's the thing, the difference is they're going to vastly look at, if you look at the national championship game with Notre Dame, okay, Notre Dame had a 15-play drive, and 9 of those plays, the quarterback had design runs.
That was in the first play, the first drive.
The first series. He had like 9 times, right?
9 times.
Yep.
That dude is a running back. They got design runs for the quarterback. You're hitting them all day long. You take Lamar Jackson, you take Josh Allen. How many design runs do they actually have for both of those guys who are running quarterbacks? How many do they have in a game? Josh Allen ran the ball a ton. They're not going to be sitting there worrying about when you have design runs for a quarterback, roughing the passer calls. When you have Pat Mahomes and other quarterbacks that don't have design runs, it's a different philosophy, a different thinking as a ref, even for the running quarterback that he's running now, where I'm just breaking the pocket. I'm scrambling, trying to pick up what I can. But as a defender, they have to think about that differently. These are design runs for these guys. When you have design runs for a quarterback, he is now turned into a running back. I can go and hit him. Yeah. It should be all bets off, but they got to protect the quarterback.
Yeah, real quick, because I know you got TJ Reeves coming on. Seneca, who wins?
Who wins what? Oh, both games?
I'm taking Philly and I'm taking Buffalo. Who do you got?
Look, I am not going to sit here. When you're going into Kansas City and you're the Buffalo Bills, you have to go and take that game. You have to go and take it. Kansas City's not going to give it to you. You got to go earn it. You got to take it. And that's the only way Buffalo's going to win. But in my opinion, I got Kansas City winning that game. They're not going to lose that game. And in the other game, we already know. I said the Commanders. Commanders is a team right now that is destined. They're on fire. Now, if they win, they happen to win, they beat Philly, and they got Kansas City, we got Commanders in the Super Bowl. Wow. I'm still taking Kansas City. They are a team right now that knows how to win. It could be ugly. It'd be a 9-7 game. It could be a 2-0 game.
They're doing it defensively. And, to circle back with what you were talking about, if you would ever think about this, you look, they're trying to protect the quarterback. But you know what? There's a lot of defenders that are getting hurt because they are pulling up. Because when you got a defensive player thinking out there rather than reacting, they're blowing knees out. I mean, it happens every single week.
See ball, get ball.
Yes, that's right. Yep. See ball, get ball. How about this? And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not trying to have somebody bring something in. But how about this, man? How about the quarterback's not allowed to run past the line of scrimmage and it becomes a penalty? You want to protect the quarterback? Don't let him run.
Mm-hmm.
How about that? It takes a
Or-
complete element out of the game. Quarterback, pass ball, quarterback, hands off the run.
No, that's not going to happen.
I understand that,
Harry,
but if you really, but don't be surprised. Eventually, this may actually happen in the National Football League because they're worried about CTE, which is another issue.
I want to
Harry,
answer some of these questions.
I think you're on to something, and I'll tell you what. Take it the next step further. If you want to let him run, if he slides late, make it a 10-yard penalty and back the ball up.
I could see that happening because you know what? If you're worried about the quarterback, you should be worried about corner safeties and linebackers.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Especially when they're taking the pass.
I don't see that happening. I want to answer Seneca's questions. I didn't get a chance.
And by the way, I was an offensive guy, and I'm kind of sticking up for the guys on the defense.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, and you're very offensive, Harry. I
want to answer Leo's question here, not Seneca's. For Seneca, the reason why Jaden Daniels isn't in MVP conversation, it's ridiculous. He absolutely should be, but it's almost like giving a freshman the Heisman Trophy winner. They didn't have it for so many years because it didn't happen, and eventually it happened. So, if you're going to make a case for me, Daniels to definitely be in that conversation for MVP. And your estimation, Seneca, do you feel like Josh Allen is the MVP? And why can't the Buffalo Bills go into Kansas City? Because Kansas City's been winning a lot of close games. Is it time? Because I almost feel like it's time. That's how I feel too. Buffalo's going to get over the top. It's destiny for them to win and Josh Allen to win the MVP. Do you see Allen as the MVP? And could you see Buffalo beating Kansas City to get over there, get over that team?
Well, I know that the MVP is a regular season type deal. And if you look at Lamar's numbers and Josh Allen's numbers, Lamar's numbers are by far further along than
not even close.
Not even close, right? But at the end of the day, we're looking at Lamar saying you won the last 2 MVPs. We need to get out of the postseason. We need to win in the postseason. We got to get to the Super Bowl. And I think that game against Buffalo the other night was very indicative of how people might kind of look at him and say, hey, man, you have to win the big one. Yeah. You got the MVP. You got to win. You got to get out of the first round. You can't have Kansas City come into your place and then you lose like they did last year. You go to Buffalo. You beat Josh Allen. You beat him already earlier this season. And we know it's hard to beat a team twice. But at the end of the day, Lamar had to do more. He had to do more for me specifically. I think his numbers were phenomenal. It's not close. We talked about that just a second ago. But Josh Allen right now.
Look at the touchdown to interception ratio. Just that alone.
But to be fair, guys, he has Derrick Henry and Josh Allen has James Cook.
He's not throwing the ball to Derrick Henry. He's got how many touchdown passes?
But it factors into it, in my opinion. I think that's what a lot of voters look. Okay.
Hey, Seneca, I got to ask you this question. You got to feel sorry for Andrews. If they throw that pass to him 1,000 times, he catches it 999 times.
Whoopsie.
Have you ever been involved in a game where on the last play or something, your most trusted receiver or runner just didn't get it done? What's that like?
We had that situation before. I mean, when we were in the Super Bowl and Jeremy Stevens had a couple of drops. And he struggled. I mean, he was our big tight end, big first-round draft pick. So, I've seen that before. I think there's no bigger stage for this to happen. That's why. If it did happen in a regular season game, no one's really going to bat an eye. But when you're in a situation where you're trying to get over that hump, you're trying to beat Buffalo on the road in the snow. And even if we take the fumble that he had earlier in the game, we maybe don't say that, but it's the magnitude and the importance in winning and the timing on which it happened. It's hard, period. Playing this game is hard at any level, but it's those moments that will define you. It's those moments that will define you. No one would sit here and say, oh, well, he got stripped earlier in the game that led to a touchdown. No one would sit here and say that Lamar Jackson, he had a fumble that Von Miller picked up. He had a pick. All those things will be dusted to the side if Andrews catches that 2-point conversion.
Yep.
No one says anything. But it's those moments of when they happen, then it starts to spiral. Yes, it probably was in his head. It was a pretty simple routine catch, a little on the low hip, but he got to come up with it in those moments. And those moments are which are important. And to go back to the Kansas City deal, I got Kansas City, and what it's going to take is obviously, like we saw a couple years ago, it's going to be lights out between, if Josh Allen wants to get over that threshold, Josh Allen has to dethrone Pat Mahomes. He has to. Period.
That's a tough task, man. That's a tough task. Hey, I hate to switch gears, and Pete hates when I do this, but there's a real loyal guy to the show, and he's been blowing my phone up, and he's got a question out here because he's a huge Chicago Bear fan, and of course he wants to ask you.
Well, I was going to
from
ask
Tom
that
Banner.
next. Yes.
Well, I'm sure you were. I mean, but he wants to know your opinion on what the Bears did
Ben
hiring
Johnson.
Ben Johnson and what it's going to do for Caleb.
Good question there, Tom. Appreciate it.
Tom, that's a good question. I would say I saw there's people been trying to compare and talk, not compare, but talk about Kellen Moore going to the Dallas Cowboys again. We got Ben Johnson, first time guy. And I'm looking at when he walked into that lobby of the Chicago Bears, I'm looking at, did he have that aura about him where he can step into this locker room, he can step into this organization and become that piece that they need. That's what I'm looking at. Does Kellen Moore have that piece? In my opinion, no. Because that piece is very, very important. You got to get guys, grown men, to buy into what you're selling.
Mm.
And if they don't have a level of confidence in you, because they all been there, they've been at the highest level. Most of these guys that are playing on this 53-man roster. So can Ben be able to walk in and take a Caleb Williams, a kid who has played the game at the highest level, hadn't had that much success his rookie year, but it has won the Heisman, has been through it all. Can he come in and take that organization in that locker room and take it by the palm of his hands and say, this is mine. I've seen it. I've done it with the Detroit Lions, and I'm going to do it here. And he's resurrected some players' careers, honestly, offensively. That was the one thing that I talked about. They had to go get an offensive-minded dude. They went out and they got these guys, these receivers and DJ Moore, and they got these guys, Swift, and they put them around Keenan Allen, and they put them around this very dynamic quarterback.
With no offensive line. You forget.
Oh, God, no offense.
Well, no, yeah, right, zero, right? But at the same time, they needed an offensive-minded guy to be in there to be able to take this team and put them in position to be successful. And I think he might do that.
You know what, guys? I don't know if you heard this comment that came out of that press conference, but boy, this one made me sit up and take notice.
Yes, it did. I know what you're talking about.
They asked him, what's it going to be like now with Caleb Williams? He said, he better get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Boy, what a great line.
But you know what he followed it up with, don't you?
Yes, go ahead, Harry.
He said, quote unquote, we will tailor a game plan and a team around Caleb Williams, and we will break this down for him. And he was inferring to that offensive line. He wasn't talking about their playmakers. They have their playmakers, according to him. But This is a coach, and I wasn't really high on a Ben Johnson. I have to be real honest. I was really leaning towards a Mike McCarthy or even a defensive-minded coach because, you know what? I like coaches that can check their ego at the door. Okay. And be able to bring a game plan that's going to not only solidify, but also mold or really, that's not even a good word for it. Something that's going to fit that particular quarterback. It's not the quarterback has to fit the system. Ben Johnson has already publicly said, I'm going to bring a system that fits my quarterback. And I'm going to build this team, especially the offensive line, to give him protection. That's what I did like. And when I heard that, that's telling me I got a coach without an ego, and I kind of like that. But rumors are also telling me that he's kind of an introvert. And I did not know that. And I'm not really sure. I've only heard this from a couple of people, but he's not that boisterous type of coach. He's got more of a, I'd say, a Lovie Smith type of mentality.
Tom Landry.
When it comes, or with that type of personality.
Tom Landry, yeah.
And, for him to say, I'm going to make someone uncomfortable, he better get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's
guys,
weird.
I thought you were going to go with what he said. I enjoy beating Matt LaFleur twice. So he said that in his press conference, too. I think a lot of Bears fans are loving to hear that because of what the Packers have done to the Bears.
Every coach has come in here and going, just beat Green Bay. They're not talking about going to the Super Bowl. It's just beat Green Bay. Yeah. Forget about that.
Right.
Peter, I'm going to ask you a question. If you got TJ in the background, I'll jump off so you can get him in.
Well, we got him coming on right now, but I wanted one final question, Leo, with Seneca. How important was it to keep Liam Coen in the fold for Baker Mayfield, who's had multiple offensive coordinators? And then on top of it, what do you think about what Coen has done for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer offense, transforming them to a top 3, top 5 unit?
Because consistency is key. When I train my guys and I talk about this game, this quarterback position, if you want to be successful at anything, you got to be consistent at it, right?
Yep.
And that's the thing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If we having a bunch of turnovers, we're never going to get consistent at one thing. We're doing a bunch of things. And to be able to have the same play caller in Baker Mayfield's ear, to hear the same philosophy, to be able to learn and study the same way because it's not someone different, to understand that he understands my temperament as a quarterback. He understands what I like and what I don't like is huge. And so to be able to retain the offensive coordinator for a quarterback who came off a year that he was very successful and did some very good things with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is very, very important. And you're not hitting the reset button. So I like it. And hopefully that Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield, they can go on and they can get past that threshold and maybe make their way back to the Super Bowl. Who knows? But it's a grind. And we know that you got to be good on all 3 phases in order to do that.
Good stuff. Great stuff. And I think a lot of people would assume defense. Is that where you're going with this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team in 2025? It's defense, namely an edge rusher, a linebacker, and a corner, in your opinion?
Absolutely. I mean, we got to go both to that. I mean, obviously, we know what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been built over in the past. I mean, it's going back to Brooks and going back to Barber and all those guys. It was built around defense. And if they can get back to that kind of semi-identity with adding that sexiness of an offense that can be explosive, we know this. This is what happens. I know we're not talking about it a lot because the game has shifted a little bit, but we know that defenses keep you and will get you there to championship games. And you got to be able to have a team like the Commanders that can shut down Philadelphia's run game. Like the Kansas City Chiefs, that's very opportunistic, that will be able to get their hands on balls. They're not going to beat themselves. And that's what this is built around. We don't beat ourselves. And like you said, you got to make yourself be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. And every single one of those players are trained that way from offense, defense, and special teams.
Absolutely.
Great stuff. Former quarterback Seneca Wallace joining us here on The Evolution. Go ahead and once again promote yourself here. We got to have you back. What's going on with you, man? We appreciate the time as always.
Man, I love it, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm out here in Dallas, Texas, just doing what I love, is teaching the next generation of quarterbacks the game of football from a quarterback standpoint. Training some guys at some college players right now who are getting ready to come out. I have one kid, Caden Salters, that's who just got to Colorado. So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the ride, raising my family, and, stay tuned for big things to come. And I love being on here with you guys talking football.
We love having you on, man.
Yeah.
Seriously, and you should really – I'll tell you what, you're really getting some love. We don't read the comments and everything else, but people are blowing up my DMs and everything else. They love your knowledge. They love exactly what you're bringing to this. And I'll tell you what, that's coming from people from Chicago. I mean, so really,
Chicago's tough.
Well,
I asked my wife. I said,
yes.
and they're passionate about their team. I know Lance Briggs is a good friend of mine, really good friend of mine.
Double Nichols is your friend?
We're both from Sacramento, baby. Double Nichols is my guy, drink to that one. So I love it.
I'll tell you what,
you guys.
You want to talk about someone critical? You should see him when he was on the post-game show. Him and Alex Brown, they would rip it up, bro.
I already know.
Tear it
Hey,
up.
Seneca, promote yourself with Sports International, where you're going to be working with quarterbacks this summer.
Man, you already know it. I'm going to be in Seattle like I normally am. Seattle's been something that's been consistent over the last 10, 15 years. And Leo, you know this, right outside of Seattle in Tacoma. And then I'm going to be going to Dartmouth again up in Boston, right outside of Boston. So I love it. SI does a phenomenal job. I love giving back. And that's my biggest thing is being able to see kids who come and see me when they're little toddlers, or not toddlers in a sense, but young guys, and then to see them grow as young men. And that's the thing, too, that I love. I mean, it's the reason why Deion Sanders is not taking that extra step and trying to get to the NFL, because he plays such a crucial role. I'm talking about Deion in particular, in being able to develop these guys and turn these young kids into young men. And that's part of the process. That's part of it.
Does he deserve that spot in Dallas?
Oh, does he deserve it?
I'm putting
of
you
course
on the
he
spot.
deserves it.
Okay, I agree.
But I don't think he's ready to take that role because he knows where his impact is mostly felt, and it's in college. It's getting these kids prepared mentally and physically about the journey in life and what it's going to look like when they get to the National Football League.
Can he coach right now in the National Football League, in your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely, because he has the persona, he has that moxie to come in, and like I said, because I've been there and I've seen it. That's why it was so important when I was seeing Ben Johnson walk in. Does he walk in there with a level of confidence? It's not cockiness. It's a level of confidence that he knows that he's going to walk into that locker room and those players are going to listen to what comes out of his mouth.
Well, Seneca, I'm going to see you in Dartmouth. I'm going to see you out of Pacific Lutheran. So you're stuck with me again for what, the 15th year, pretty much?
That's right. I'll buy you a hamburger in both spots.
And
there you go.
I'll give you a pizza.
There you go. Appreciate it, man.
God have mercy.
All right. I got to hang out with you guys sometime because, and anytime you hang out with Leo Haggerty, you're always eating well. That's for sure.
That's right.
Absolutely. Guys, I'm going to get off so you can get TJ Reason.
I appreciate it.
Next Wednesday.
Thank you. Next Wednesday, let's do it.
Next Wednesday, let's do it. Yes, let's keep on doing
Leo.
it, and let's talk draft also with quarterbacks because you kind of have a little bit of an inside there, and we kind of like to use that here on the Evolution. So
I got you. We'll do it next week.
All right,
care,
sounds
guys.
good. Good stuff
Leo.
there, Leo Haggerty.
Care.
There's the media. I was going to get. There's the media icon on right there from the Buccaneer Radio Network, Mr. TJ Reeves. It's been an eventful day.
What are you doing shooing Seneca Wallace off to talk to me? What is up with that?
I didn't shoo him off. I mean, we
probably still watching Iowa State Cyclones represent, including Tampa Bay area's Rocco Becht,
yes,
quarterback representing for the Iowa State Cyclones. How about that? Going back in the way back with Seneca Wallace.
By the way, that was the first thing I mentioned when I came on the show. So I thought of you, and that's how you host your shows, and that's how we host the shows on here.
I would have wished that Seneca would have hung out with TJ because I think that would have been a really interesting conversation.
Absolutely.
No, he's all. Look, he's all you need, especially breaking down the quarterback position. Yep. And love it that you had him on and had Leo on to give you some breakdown. Hey, has anything been going on today? I know Peter was sending me messages and I'm messaging other people. Anything happening today in the Buccaneer world or in the NFL?
Liam Coen.
Liam Cohen's coming back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we talked about it on this show. We also talked about it at the end of the Commanders loss there when it was about 1:30 in the morning, and I threw it out there that I thought he would never leave because of that Jacksonville situation and how god-awful it was, because not only do they have a super villain that should be in a James Bond movie instead of owning a team, and Shaka Khan for all you people out there that like to make fun of him, but also
Shaka Khan was better, Pete.
Well, Shaka Khan was definitely better.
Shaka Khan on another show today with "I Feel for You."
I even think that Rufus was better than Shaka Khan.
I feel for you. I think I love you from 1984.
I love you better than I feel for you. Spice it up. Let me spice it up for a minute or two. Call me trepidatious. Is that a Leo word?
That is a Leo word. Yeah.
Trepidatious.
Let me write this down.
I saw the reports from Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport about Liam Coen. I have not seen anything from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have not seen anything from Liam Coen saying, still here, great to be back.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm a little
good point.
Trepidatious here at almost 10:30 in the PM on a Wednesday night. And let's review the sequence of events today, shall we?
Yes.
The report comes out shortly after 10 a.m. Eastern time that reportedly Liam Coen has decided to take his name out of the running in Jacksonville and remain with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at an increased salary, and read between the lines, possibility that he was promised to be the future head coach of the Buccaneers at some point, right? That came out just after 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Correct.
So truth be told, a couple of hours later, I'm out running errands, including having the dog with me. We had to go get the dog taken care of with a pedicure because the nails had become claws and weapons.
Yes.
And I start getting messages about John Spytek while I'm off trying to take care of the dog. And at first I'm thinking it's, speculation. Is he going to be the Raiders guy? And no, in fact, the reports are he's going to be the Raiders guy. And am I correct? I've been in several different places tonight, several different worlds. Have they confirmed Spytek? I assume they have. I know the talk has been everywhere. Have the Raiders confirmed it? All right, so the Raiders confirmed.
Yeah, the Raiders have confirmed that they're going to expect it, that all the reports are saying they're expected to name him
but did
the
the Raiders
manager.
say it? I don't know if the Raiders said it yet, and maybe it's not official till tomorrow. All right, so in the sequence of events, that's number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden, report number 3 is that Jacksonville has given Trent Baalke, the GM, a copy of the home game. Now, Harry gets that code. Does Peter get that code? Leo would have gotten that code. Do you know what the copy of the home game is? You know what that means?
Nah,
Harry, do you know what that means? Get a copy of the home game? Neither one of you know. Harry, you're my contemporary. Do we got to get Leo back on?
I believe we do.
Usually in the 60s and the 70s, because game shows were very poor, cheap, chintzy, or whatever, if you lost on a game show, they would most of the time give you what?
A
copy of the home game. The consolation prize. A copy of the home game. So you could go home and play Jeopardy or whatever it is while you made Zip, while you made
This is Jeopardy.
Yes. So the code here is if you get shown the door, if you're out, you got a copy of the home game. I guess I'm showing my age. I'm dating myself. So again, to recap, Liam Coen news out there from the newsbreakers. John Spytek news for Las Vegas out there with the newsbreakers, which that would have led to speculation. Forget about Jacksonville. Is Liam Coen maybe going to Las Vegas where he can help pick the quarterback with a guy he would be somewhat familiar with for a year in Tampa Bay as the front office guy? And oh, by the way, that Tom Brady guy. And now Jacksonville finally pulls the plug on the GM that seems to be everybody's kryptonite. They're negative. I'm not coming there if he's the GM. All right, I'm just sorting through things on a Wednesday night. I just sit back. I watch all this. I listen. I wait to see what's confirmed, what's out there. There you go. There's my read on today's events. How'd I do?
Yeah, you did great. And I know there's a lot of fans out there who want to talk to you, want to talk about what happened today with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So you can. The open phone lines.
Because it's not written in stone yet. He hasn't actually come out and publicly said it. There might be, in the car business, we say there might be some hair on the deal.
Oh, please don't say that, because
Peter, something just fell off your back wall.
Yeah, it was the Leroy Selman thing, I believe.
Leroy even agrees with me. There might be some hair on this deal.
That's what happens. So stand by here. Hold on a minute.
Okay, I
just go back to Harry.
TJ, just question, man. What do you think of the Aaron Glenn signing with the New York Jets going with another defensive coordinator as my cat is hanging out on the sink right now?
Is that bad luck?
No, it's not a black one. No, that's Bandit. He's my special needs. He's my special needs cat.
All right. So Aaron Glenn, former player, and by the way, the Jets did announce it. So the Jets have put it out there that one is filled.
You see, Pete, that's what happens when they actually sign a player or a coach. They announce it. But go ahead.
Well, okay, I get that, Harry, but it's all assumed at this point, But
Peter, I'm not trying to ruffle your feathers,
I know,
but it's not done until they actually announce it. Go ahead, TJ. Sorry.
Yeah.
So back to Glenn and the Jets. I mean, they got rid of Robert Saleh like in 2022, didn't they? It seems like it was that long ago, and now they finally have their coach after the Lions were eliminated. And interesting, I saw, a couple of different things on him and about how he didn't really want to go the route of a coach. He was happy in retirement, maybe trying to do other things. And then football was in his blood and he got back to coaching. And obviously the Lions have had tremendous success. And this kind of ties back to the Buccaneers. When you have a lot of success, people want your coordinators, people want your front office people want your players, by the way, too, if you don't re-sign them or if they can somehow get their hands on them. So the Jets have been a mess, though. And good luck with the Aaron Rodgers thing, because here again, you hire a defensive guy. You wonder, did Rodgers have to sign off on that? Or is he maybe not happy that it's not an offensive guy? I don't know.
He won't be quarterback in this team this year. He
Probably not.
He won't be quarterback in this team this year. And shame on the Jets if they allow that to happen. He got a GM fired. He had a head coach fired, which was really ridiculous because I thought that Robert Saleh was a really, really good coach. It's just
for a while
shame.
there, they had won like one time out of 10 games after firing Robert Saleh. So it's not exactly like the move, like the move inspired great play and better play and wins.
TJ, great point, and I totally agree with that assessment. You've got to feel for the New York Jet fans. You have to. Okay, for what I mean, this team. Let me tell you something. The start of this season defensively, I thought that team defensively could have been the '85 Bears. I'm not kidding you. Their backups. Okay, could start for literally any team in the National Football League on their front four. They're that good. And I don't know what happened. I mean, maybe it was the head coach, but he sure as hell was not like that in San Francisco. He really wasn't. And for that team to have that much talent, to regress as bad as they did because of one player, that's pretty pitiful. Forget about the general manager.
I'll tell you what
pitiful
else.
The owners allowed that to happen.
I'll tell you what else, and then we'll move off of this. Aaron Rodgers demonstrated, and what is Rodgers now? Is he 40? 39 or 40? Look that up, Peter.
He plays like
I will look
80,
it up right now as we speak.
It made you appreciate Tom Brady at 42.
Yes.
Tom Brady at 43, and how brilliantly he was playing here in Tampa Bay in 2020 and in 2021. Incredible to see what Brady was able to do at 41, 42. What is Rodgers now?
41.
He's 41 now.
Yes.
But, I mean, he looked every bit of 40 or 41 earlier this season. So,
well, he doesn't have a wife that was a white witch. Okay, who would practice white witchcraft, okay, that did the cleansing. This guy wanted to smoke peyote, whatever the hell it is, and go sit in a dark room for 2 weeks.
Yes.
I mean, that's a weirdo. I mean,
he should be in a white room at this point.
Father Time is undefeated on everybody, and Brady just defied it for a couple of years longer than most, maybe 3 or 4 years longer than most, because it gets them all. It gets them all, and it got Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know that we see him again. But anyway, back to the Buccaneer situation. I'm not just instigating here, trying to make trouble on a Wednesday night. I'm just saying, everybody,
no, it's true.
Settle down and wait.
Slow your roll.
Yes.
For when the Liam Coen stuff is officially talked about. And in specific, if he's not taking another coaching job, say so. Say so that he's happy here, or the Bucs will say so that he's happy here. And then we'll move on with our business, and whatever the Jaguars end up with, don't give it more than a couple of years, because that's been since Shad Khan bought the team. I saw this in 2012. Shad Khan has a 2% winning percentage. They've literally lost basically 2 out of every 3 games, and he's repeatedly fired coaches. And so that makes you wonder whom they're going to end up with here in Jacksonville. And so the other openings, New Orleans, Las Vegas, Dallas, right?
Yes.
So,
hey, good luck with that. I want to read this.
Going to New Orleans now.
I want to read this to follow up TJ's point.
Go ahead, please.
Tampa Bay Times reporter Rick Stroud noted that while Coen had agreed to a new deal with the Bucs, the contract wasn't yet signed, which creates an opening that CBS Sports insider Jonathan Jones thinks Jacksonville might try to exploit, given the recent developments. With Balky out,
maybe
knowing
the guy's
how
out of town. Okay.
Well, I don't know. With Balky out, knowing how interested The
Harry,
franchise has been.
Harry, I hate to break it to you. 2025, they can get a contract to a guy fairly quickly. Digitally,
I know that. I'm trying to get Pete not to like
maybe he's
wrist.
out of town. The maybe he's out of town thing, like applied to the 70s and the 80s, because you're absolutely right. While we digress, just for 1 second, I was having this conversation yesterday, and I'm not trying to be, I guess, just total get off my lawn guy.
Get off my lawn.
No, nobody knows anybody's phone number anymore. We used to have to know everybody's phone number, our own phone number, Peter's number, Harry's number.
I still remember my childhood phone
I understand that, but do you know anybody's phone number right now?
Yes.
Nobody knows anybody's phone number.
727-255-0391.
Because you hear it 17 times every show and you start reciting it in your sleep. I understand that. I
understand what you're saying. Someone asked me at my shop, what's your number at the shop? And I went,
I don't know. Right.
I don't know. You don't know anybody's number. Hit the call button.
You don't know anybody's number. And then we were talking about this as well, that the forms of communication for people out of town, when you didn't call them, you wrote a letter or typed a letter and you put it in an envelope and put a stamp on it. Mm-hmm. And it's not that long ago for us. Peter, you probably don't know this as well because you're a little younger, but that's how you communicated a lot of time with people out of town. So you just jogged me because I was having that very conversation yesterday with people. With a couple of people, when you said maybe he's out of town, that used to mean something, because like you would call a business to talk to the manager or the boss and you would hear he's out of town as like the excuse.
It's called the stamp.
The stamp, right? The stamp.
Right,
put it on the envelope.
These things go on an envelope.
You would hear he's out of town as if we can't reach him today and maybe not tomorrow. That used to be the biggest blow-off code that you could possibly have. He's out of town. Maybe he's out of town. So you jogged me when you said that on Liam Coen.
Liam, if you're watching the show, I got a book of stamps for you.
Look at you. Are those the forever stamps?
Yes. Okay. I still have my forever.
So the forever stamps means if the price goes up, it doesn't matter. Those are still good.
Correct.
They honor them.
Liam, I've got a book for you, buddy. There's a whole book of stamps here for you.
Let me just read this here. With Balky out, knowing how interested the franchise has been in Liam Coen, it would not be shocking to see the Jaguars make another run at the Buccaneer offensive coordinator. They make him tell them
of course
no.
They're going to, but he's the hottest commodity left.
All right.
There.
So here are the facts, and they're not in dispute.
Right.
That is a disastrous situation in Jacksonville.
Correct.
Right? You have the quarterback, but how do you trust anything with the owner? It's a disastrous situation. They've revolving door coaches over and over and over again. Yeah. All right. Here you have the sure thing. You just worked with Baker Mayfield, and my God, what a season you had. So even if you're not going to be the Buccaneer head coach in 2026, let's say, or 2027 or whatever it is, why would you go to Jacksonville? I know it's a head coaching job as opposed to sticking right here with Baker Mayfield, upping your dollars here, upping your contract here, hypothetically speaking, because he could still take a job somewhere else. Even if he agreed to something with the Buccaneers, they can't stop him from being a head coach unless he were to agree to something in writing that says, I will not agree to another head coaching job because of whatever you've offered me. He can go be a head coach somewhere else if you're a coordinator. That's the policy in the NFL. They let you have that opportunity if you're a position coach, and that's how these guys go and do that so regularly when they have a contract. So, but if you're him, what's the worst thing in the world to play this out right now with Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan who came on, K-Dot in that offensive line? Why not let it play out?
Yeah.
So, and by the way, on the point,
what if New Orleans or the Raiders actually offer him a
New
position?
Orleans is so salary cap strapped. I don't know why you would go there. The Raider thing is intriguing because they have salary cap room and you get to pick the
have Tom Brady.
And you have Tom Brady there.
Correct.
But, okay, one other point here, too, on the whole thing about didn't sign the contract. All right, so that a lot of times for coaches and in big-time deals, that doesn't happen immediately. That might not even happen for weeks. Because you go over different aspects. You agree, you have an understanding, you might sign something that says memo of understanding. Let's compare this to Bill Belichick at North Carolina because it is still out there that he might not ever coach at the University of North Carolina, and he might be trying to take one of these jobs.
Dallas.
Because, for example, North Carolina has revealed this. He's not signed a contract, a formal contract with them. The only thing he signed was the MOU, the Memo of Understanding. You're going to be the head coach. This is what we're going to pay you. This is what we're giving you for an assistance pool to use. These are maybe some other perks, free automobile, country club membership. All of these things are maybe listed in that Memo of Understanding. This is what you're getting.
21-year-old females running all over.
He's got that covered already on his own, whether he's the North Carolina coach or not. But the Memo of Understanding is not the actual contract, I'm saying. So the people freaking out going, well, he didn't sign his contract yet. Well, they pointed out he signed something. And so maybe Liam Coen has now signed something. I don't know.
I still say he's out of town.
And maybe, like you're saying, out of town, maybe he hasn't signed anything. And that's another reison why you're not hearing from the Buccaneers. Stay tuned.
I'll be back in 2 days. I'll be there.
I love that. He's not available. He's out of town.
I'm not available.
Maybe he'll get back. Maybe he'll get back to us in a couple, 3 days. I mean, we lose our mind.
Maybe he's hanging out with Aaron in this
we lose our mind when somebody doesn't get back to us in 23 seconds on the phone with a text message.
TJ, I got to tell you something. Someone told me something a long time ago, and I hate this saying. They say the one that is in control is the one that does not respond. It is such a horrible thing to say, but if you actually think about that, it's true. If you're texting somebody and you don't get a response, who's in control? The person that's not responding. And you're absolutely correct, but I still say he's out of town.
Is that something from a fortune cookie? Is that like a Chinese saying? The one who's in control
is the one that does not respond. But I hate that.
He says all this nonsense because I don't have my sound effect.
It would depend on the circumstances, because give me your wallet or else, and you don't respond.
Hey, I'm dead.
That's a whole different ballgame.
But the other option is, and I haven't said this, but I heard that Liam Coen and Aaron Rodgers are really good friends. He could be hanging out in that timeout room with them for a couple of weeks.
He's not hanging out with him at all. Be quiet, Harry. Shut up. You got Harry the Greek on with us here, professional.
And we have the media icon himself that
I don't know. I don't know if I'm not anymore.
TJ Reeves.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So, with Jacksonville, they just kind of remind me of 80s Bucs. They keep on getting turned down. They were looking for Ben Johnson. What did you make of the Ben Johnson thing? A lot of people excited. Harry, he wanted Mike McCarthy. I said no.
Harry, I was on last week, and you said they sent the private plane for Mike McCarthy.
They did.
So is that like the classic diversion?
Well, I don't know what
they were really doing.
I'm surprised you didn't interview for the job. I mean, I got a phone call. They were interviewing everybody. Okay, let's just be real. I've never seen anything like this in my life. It was almost like, your mom just got her Facebook account and she's friending everybody that she's ever met. Okay, that's how many people they were interviewing.
Sounds like my mom.
Okay, I mean, it's the truth. But am I happy with this hire? Look, I would have personally rather had a coach with experience, with a lot of experience and good experience. Or I even would have liked to have had a coach who's had experience who didn't have success.
You would know this better than me off the top of my head. Who's the last Bear coach they hired with good NFL experience? Is that Wannstedt?
Wannstedt didn't have NFL experience. They took him out of Pitt.
He had been the Cowboy defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah, right. But here's a good one for you.
Who's the last Bear coach that they have hired?
No, Trestman was an OC for Oakland under Gruden.
Right. I mean, I'm trying to think.
John Fox.
Yeah, probably.
John Fox.
Yeah, and that was an absolute disaster. But I changed my mind. I'm gonna like Ben Johnson because it's some of the things that he has said, and the main thing that he said is, I'm going to develop and build my team around my quarterback, and I am going to put a playbook together that fits my quarterback. Not my quarterback's got to fit my scheme. I'm going to fit my quarterback scheme. And I understand they're going after Dennis Allen to be their DC, which I think would be a really good hire for them. So, yes, I am a fan of Ben Johnson. But how about this? They're paying this guy $14 million. He's never sat on the sideline as a head coach.
Welcome to leverage.
Hold on.
Welcome
the
to
Chicago
leverage.
Bears wouldn't pay $14.5 million for Walter Payton if he was reincarnated in his second year.
Right.
Okay,
I understand.
They just don't do that. Dick Buckus said it best. He says George Halas used to throw quarters around like they were manhole covers.
Right.
They were like that heavy. He's cheap, buddy. Let me tell you something.
You know what?
Hugh Culverhouse didn't have shit
I understand.
on George Halas.
Okay, but let's go back to the fortune cookie sayings.
Yes.
Do you know what you're worth? You know what something is worth? Do you know what you're worth? What are you worth? You're worth what somebody is willing to pay you.
Pay you. Yes.
Well, they knew they had the market. They had to really pay top dollar for Ben Johnson. Look, the Bears wanted him in the beginning. They knew that the Raiders were going after.
Is it confirmed that he got $14 million a year?
14.5.
Or is that just out there? The Bears put that out there?
Wow.
The Bears put that, but that's some sick money. If that's the case, that's true. But anyway, I think they did pony up that way because Brady and the Raiders,
of course,
they wanted him.
Of course.
And Chicago's like, we're not letting him out of the backyard.
All right, so we got a phone call here. One of our favorite webheads, Mr. Williams. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Harry the Greek.
Are we having a drink tonight, Mr. Williams?
Yeah, Mr. Williams is still owed wings after Harry was supposed to pay him some wings. Has still not done that, TJ. What do you think about that?
But TJ lives closer to Mr. Williams.
That's been 2 years.
2 years.
TJ, how's
yes, sir.
Going, my man?
I'm good. I'm trying just to keep the peace here, keep it in the middle of the road.
I just want to elaborate on a little something that I heard you say earlier.
Okay.
Okay, we are talking about Liam Coen.
Yeah.
But we do. I don't believe that he's going over to Jacksonville.
Okay.
Because it's a hot mess over there.
It is. It is a hot mess. And you look at the landscape of the National Football League, it's not just Jacksonville. It's the Jets. You want to go to the Jets situation with the ownership they have there? No. You want to go to Vegas? Listen, they got Tom Brady. Okay, great. You still got Mark Davis, who once again has that Lloyd Christmas haircut from Dumb and Dumber. All right.
Yeah.
He definitely needs.
No, that's
okay. True. So listen. Right.
All we're missing is the Hawk Tua girl here.
Well, you got Jerry Jones there, a Skeletor in Dallas is still trying to.
Man, Jerry
Jones, Skeletor. Sorry.
Jerry Jones needs to go home and sit on his balcony.
Yes.
And smoke his cigars and play with his grandkids.
And honestly, a lot of Cowboy fans would like him to jump over the balcony ever since he decided to fire Jimmy Johnson. Listen, he is in control.
All right, now wait a minute. We're going all kinds of different directions. Mr. Williams, do you have a question? Do you have a question?
Oh, no.
Yes. Back to what you were saying though. Liam Coen, he's gonna stay here. And we are going to give him a extended contract.
Okay.
Because due to the fact is, you got everything here you need.
Okay.
You got your quarterback. You got the quarterback. You got your receivers. You already got someone that knows your offense, knows your style. You got a hell of a running game. So why go into something that's a mess?
It makes sense, Mr. Williams. Appreciate the call. I mean, yeah, and that's how I look at it, and that's why I say to a lot of Bucs
he's in agreement with the ground that we covered a little while ago.
Yes, absolutely.
About why you wouldn't go somewhere else with that. So back to the Dallas thing. They have got to be going out of their mind because they apparently had a second interview with Brian Schottenheimer, the son of the legendary coach. But Brian's been numerous different places. Is anybody clamoring for him to be their head coach besides the Dallas Cowboys, I would ask? And then I don't know, Peter, if you're aware of this, but I was watching our colleague JP Peterson, his show. He's got his guy Tim Ham in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You know Tim.
Yes.
Those guys are our brothers.
Yes.
Tim reported this yesterday on the show that on, let me keep my day straight. I guess on Monday, maybe Jerry was having an informal media thing where there were not TV cameras present. There were some writers and some other people around. And somebody brought the name Liam Coen up to Jerry Jones. Somebody said, "What about Liam Coen?"
Yep.
And Jerry had a blank look of, "I think I should know who that is, but I don't really know who that is," kind of look.
You're kidding.
No. So to that person was standing there,
that can't be true.
That person was basically saying at this point, the Cowboys have no hope in the coaching search with whatever they're going to end up with, whomever they're going to end up with. That there you go on. And of course, the Cowboys and Buccaneers with Liam Coen calling the plays just played in December, by the way. It's not like they haven't played since, 2017 in the NFL. So in any event, I don't know what's going to happen with the Cowboys search. Again, the Saints are salary cap strapped. So the interesting jobs are now the Jaguars. Is this a situation where they entice somebody? Here we go back to Belichick again. Do they entice somebody that wants to be the GM head coach in Jacksonville? You're not going to get that in Las Vegas with the Raiders. So stay tuned on those. What else? Any other ground that I can cover with you tonight?
Maybe, and just kind of being a little funny, but it could be true because he is getting up there in age. Maybe he thinks it's the different Schottenheimer.
You're talking about the elder.
Marty.
Did Marty pass away? Marty's
well,
been
yeah,
suffering.
but he's
maybe he thinks it is the
maybe it's Marty.
Browns and the
maybe it's Marty. Who knows?
Browns and the Chiefs. I don't know.
Who was Liam Coen? Are you serious?
Well,
he did not, according to Tim Ham, he did not indicate that he knew who Liam Coen was to the people that were around him.
When was the last time the Dallas Cowboys have won a playoff game?
It was here. It was here against the Buccaneers. It was Tom Brady's final game.
Yes,
I thought you were going
to
ask
Buccaneers.
when was the last time the Dallas Cowboys were in the NFC Championship game?
Yeah,
that would be 1996.
Was it 96 with Troy Aikman?
With Troy Aikman, they won it. They went on to win the Super Bowl against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
God, that's
so we are approaching 30 years for the last NFC title game appearance. Forget about winning it. Forget about winning the Super Bowl. They have not even been able to get to the game so far in Dallas. Yet they continue to revolving door go through coaches themselves over the 2000s in particular.
TJ,
I want to go back to that Super Bowl.
Look at all these coaches that are still available. They're not even getting calls. John Gruden, Jason Garrett. I mean, there's a lot of coaches out there that aren't getting any consideration.
We will see. Is there a dark horse surprise guy that comes out of any of these?
Sorry, Peter, go ahead.
I don't know.
Go ahead. I was going to go back to the 96 Super Bowl. Larry Brown was the MVP. And of course, the quarterback that throws the interception at the time, Neil O'Donnell, who, by the way, actually had an offer sheet by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and was matched by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's go out to the phone lines here. Mr. Tampa Bay, best of the Bay, Ray Kennedy, welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with the Greek himself, Harry the Greek, and of course the media icon, Mr. TJ Reeves.
Fellas, good evening. I got to ask real quick, because I always look forward to Mr. Williams' calls, but the fact that he was talking about everything that's going to go on with Liam Coen and he's not going to Jacksonville and he's talking about it still in the future tense, are we 100% sure that Mr. Williams may not be a voice modulated Jason Light just trying to sell what he did today after the fact and just reaffirm to us that the Bucs
I think he's more of a Jerry Jones because he didn't know that Jacksonville was in the state last week. Come back to the state. You remember that.
That poor guy is still waiting for his wings after
Mr.
2 years.
TJ's got me covered on it. Okay, TJ, you can hook me up, right, buddy? I mean, he is closer to you in Tampa. You buy him wings for me. I'll
what did you lose? What did you lose to him on?
I didn't lose anything.
I'm unclear.
He wants to hang out with the Greek and everything else.
Oh, no, he did lose. No, you did lose on something. You did lose on something. Yes, it was
10 wins 2 years ago.
Something like that. Yes.
and they had 9 wins, and Mr. Williams had 10.
You guys remember my losses. You don't remember the wins, right, TJ? I mean, you see
You
what I gotta
never
deal with?
talk about yourself losing. We gotta talk about your losses.
Oh my
God.
God!
Wait a minute. You haven't had a
This is
bad.
coming guy that likes Hungry Howies.
I understand. You haven't had a bad Harry. You haven't had a bad
Hungry
beat
Howies.
recently. You don't want to bemoan a bad beat recently on anything. You don't have one, or do you have one?
Oh, I got a couple of bad beats.
Talk about it.
You have one?
I don't really want to talk
What
about
about
a bad
Ohio State and Notre Dame in the end of that game on Monday night?
Oh yeah.
Are you Peter, are you aware that everywhere, Harry knows this, Tampa Bay Ray, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Notre Dame almost everywhere was getting 8.5 or 9 points. I know I went to public school, but the score was 31-23 in the final 2 minutes. That's an 8-point margin, correct?
Yep.
So if you are a Notre Dame backer, you are golden for the Golden Domers, as long as the score stays 31-23. And with 30 seconds left in the game, Ohio State had a decision to make. Are we going to give the ball up on 4th down deep in Notre Dame territory, or are we going to kick the field goal? They kicked the field goal to make the game 34-23, which again, my public school math through Hillsborough County and through the University of Memphis tells me that margin is 11, and the number is now covered because of that. And Harry, it's not an exaggeration. That field goal easily represented $100 million,
more.
Easily, probably on that championship game. Maybe 3 or 4 times that, swinging one way or the other. Whoever had Ohio State or whoever had Notre Dame was hinging on a college kicker kicking what was seemingly a meaningless field goal to cover that number.
Yeah,
that's a bad beat. That's all I'm saying.
I hate that. I hate when that happens. No, I totally agree with you. I totally.
And I thought the same. I'm sorry, Harry. I was gonna say I thought the same thing. I'm like, they won the game. They had it in hand. It was little, and I'm thinking. So I tried to think. Okay, Day, he covers the spread. Do college coaches they take beef? Do they go?
Oh, they're aware.
Covered the spread.
Ray, they are aware.
Aware.
Yes.
Now, how much that is influencing anything they might decide to do? That's a different argument, but they know. And if they try to act like or say they don't know, their assistant coaches know that are telling them. I'm sure
TJ,
before the game.
The players have to know.
They think
the sideline reporter knows. The water boy knows. Everybody knows.
Everybody knows. It's all on your phone. They know. They know what the spread is.
The team AD's telling them, right?
Yeah, and that game was hovering around Notre Dame being an 8.5 or 9-point underdog the whole time leading up to the title game and the field goal. They had the number covered earlier easily, and Notre Dame scored and got the 2-point conversion. And now it's interesting for those that are, how we like to say, Peter, temporarily invested, short-term invested on the game.
Oh, yeah.
They were very, very interested in that field goal at the very end.
So I was wondering, can I ask you guys a question? Because this is something that, the moment they keep Liam in the building, which is a fantastic move. We're all excited about this second year on this offense.
You obviously didn't hear what happened earlier.
That's okay.
To break it to
yes,
let
him go.
Yes,
let him go.
Harry thinks that Liam is out of town, which is the reason why he hasn't signed the contract yet.
But Ray didn't know that. They have not announced it yet, Ray, publicly, that
not.
Liam Coen is staying yet.
And it may be, again, it may be as soon as tomorrow morning at 8 or 9 a.m. You suddenly see there's an announcement. He signed a new deal. He's staying with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I always have to be careful in these situations, because if I come on and say, yeah, he's still the guy, then everybody goes with that and runs with that. I don't have any inside knowledge, and until I see them saying he's the guy, I'm not talking to Liam's agent. I'm not talking to Jason Light about it. I'm not talking to the Glazers about it. Nobody's talking to the Glazers about it. That was one of the things, Peter, you said that night after the loss to the Commanders, and you've repeated it as well. The Glazer family are the ones that do these things and make these announcements, and there's nobody speaking for them. And until it comes from them, you don't truly know. John Gruden was fired 19 days after the season. 19 days after the end of the regular season.
I still think he's out of town, though.
Ray, what else? What else, brother? What do you mean to cut you off?
I'm glad you said that, because I've also said that, what if because obviously in the news cycle today, this Liam Coen turning down Jacksonville and then Trent Baalke getting fired literally led the cycle in the entire NFL. Wouldn't it be like a Jerry Jones to call Liam and say, hey, I'll give you $20 million a year to come here. I'll give you every resource needed. You guys will have the number 2 or 3. I mean, it's crazy, but it's something that could possibly happen with a guy like Jerry Jones and with the Cowboys because they're America's team.
I'd love to give you the short-term answer to that. Jerry Jones doesn't even know who Liam Coen is. And if you don't believe me, just ask Mr. TJ Reeves.
Yeah, apparently that was the story from earlier in the week. So,
yes,
but
yeah,
I mean, if they go through all of this and it's a Brian Schottenheimer hire,
they think it's Marty.
I mean, the Cowboy fans are going to.
What about Clint Kubiak?
I mean, well, and that might be. I mean, again, and that's the Saints' son of
Gary Kubiak.
Gary Kubiak.
He did well as the offensive coordinator. But again, here we go back to: are you ready
bring
to
back Joe Gibbs?
Are you ready to slide into that role as head coach for the first time and coach the Dallas Cowboys while you do it?
Pete. Look at poor Pete.
Wow.
Well, what's crazy is that the entire national media was ready to accept Liam Coen, who's been with LA and to Kentucky and LA and Kentucky and with the Bucs for 1 year with a very talented offense and a team Jason might put together, but they're ready to hand Liam the keys under Trent Baalke and the decisions being made in Jacksonville, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, suspension of reality seems to be a thing with the National Football League. But my question for you guys is one of the things I read, and, like every other Bucs fan out there, I was reaching as we're hearing this, and I'm Googling Liam Coen, I'm Googling Bucs, I'm Googling. And one of the stories that came across that made sense to me, and I wanted to know what the three of you guys think is that the narrative has been Penix Jr. and Drake London and Bijan Robinson and Raheem Morris, and the Falcons are coming on. They were supposed to win the division in 2024. But all of a sudden today, whether it's right or not, whether it ends up being factual or not and coming to pass, with Liam Coen staying in the building, and with a defense that can possibly be improved through the draft and free agency and the dogs we have on offense, somebody put it out there, I think it was SI, that said automatically suddenly the Bucs become the favorite to win the division for the 5th consecutive year.
Now they're
They
screwed.
still have to put in the work. They still have to show up. But what do you guys think about that? Does that automatically lock this team up as the favorite for the South, or are we still going to have to scratch and claw to win the division for the 5th consecutive time?
I said going into this year, Ray, we appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
you, Ray.
I said going into all of this back in the build-up, I don't understand why you would make Atlanta with a first-year coach and a quarterback situation that's already up in the air, having signed Cousins and then drafted Penix. How do you make them the favorite, which a lot of people were? And that turned out to be 100% correct. And so if people are now finally coming around after the Bucs have won the division back-to-back years with Baker Mayfield and with a different offensive coordinator in those 2 years, then good on them to join the party and understand until proven otherwise, the pewter and red, the Buccaneers, go Bucs, they have to be considered the favorite in this division. And stay tuned. That's the fodder for the gamblers and for them to kick around and to try to get people to wager and get people interested, I guess. But I would think you got to make the Buccaneers the favorite.
I think you do, and I tell you why, because the consistency is there, right? And you look at Baker Mayfield, 41 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, and first time here he's going to have a consistent offensive coordinator. And then on top of it, you're going to get back Chris Godwin. You've already had Jalen McMillan in the development there. You get a second year of Bucky Irving. You get a second year of Graham Barton, and you feel like you're only a couple pieces away defensively, an edge rusher, a middle linebacker, a corner. I get it. It's the National Football League, but right now you have to feel good about the continuity. With all that being said, it was so easy when Brady came back in 2021 and you signed all your free agents that you were going to automatically win the Super Bowl, but we know that's not always how it always works out because, the NFL is not for long. So season by season, it's different. But with that being said, you definitely have to feel better about the fact of keeping that continuity.
Absolutely. If you have that continuity and you build on it, I mean, as I just said, they got to be the favorites.
Yeah.
In the division, and you've got firepower. This is what's so encouraging. I don't know really of another time in history with this kind of success in back-to-back years where you could say this team could be really good on offense, not only in 25, but maybe for the next 2 or 3 years. Be really good on offense. I mean, you have not, this is going to be the 50th year of the franchise coming up. I don't know that you even have had back-to-back years where you could really say that. Even the Gruden Super Bowl year, they weren't dynamic on offense, and they certainly weren't dynamic the following year when they had a losing season. Yeah. And by the way, they had an even worse season in 2004, 2 years after the Super Bowl under John Gruden. So it's been ghost town on offense for a lot of this franchise, but be very encouraged that the pieces are in place for them to still be good in 26 or in 27, building around what you have, especially young offensive line, quarterback who's still very much in the prime of his career, even a year, 2, 3 years from now. Baker Mayfield will still be in the prime of his career, stays healthy, which we hope that he does. There's a lot to be excited about for the future. That's for sure.
I know you got to get out of here. Give me your prediction on Sunday's games, Championship Sunday. We had Seneca Wallace on. He says Commanders over the Eagles, and he says Kansas City over Buffalo. I'm thinking Philadelphia and Buffalo at this point, and I think I'm going to say it right now. I think the Buffalo Bills win the Super Bowl. I do. I just think they're that team this year.
You believe it is their time.
It is their destiny.
I can't get over. Harry's my contemporary. We're a little older than you, Peter. Marv Levy is 99 years old.
Amazing.
Marv Levy turned 99 like 3 days ago. Still living.
Wow.
The coach of the 4 Super Bowl appearances in a row for the Buffalo Bills, which began in Tampa, by the way, in 1990.
Yep.
He's 99 years old. Marv Levy's still living, still in and around Buffalo. It's incredible. So,
Lord have mercy.
Is it going to be the mojo finally? Are they finally going to drive the stake through the heart of the Kansas City Chief Dracula to them here or not? And why do I hearken back? Speaking of Gruden era Bucs, when the Bucs did get better in 2005, that's the first year that I was on the sideline, won the division, but lost the wild card playoff game to the New York Giants and Eli Manning. What did Manning and the Giants do the next week? They went to Dallas in the divisional round, and I believe the Cowboys were 14-2. I think we were talking about this.
Correct.
Beat them. Went to the NFC title game with Brett Favre and won a wild overtime in the freezing minus 15-degree, freezing cold Lambeau Field NFC title game, won that game, and then just for good measure went ahead and beat the New England Patriots, who had been perfect at 18-0. That Super Bowl run started in Dallas. My point is, 19 years later, are we talking about that Super Bowl run started in Tampa? 19 years later, are we talking about the Washington Commanders making a move, beating the Buccaneers, beating the Lions, who were 15-2, and then beating the Eagles in Philadelphia to go to the Super Bowl? Are we looking, and that's another NFC East team, by the way. So rookie quarterback this time. Are we looking at that for the upset? And then the Chiefs would possibly be the opponent, looking for 3 straight Super Bowls, with the Commanders with a chance to beat them for the Super Bowl. Does history maybe pseudo repeat here? Just put it out there on a Wednesday night.
No, you're absolutely
that's pretty deep, man. That's pretty
all right.
Deep.
So you like Kansas City and Washington. Who do you like in the game?
It's tough to, I don't want to ride the fence. It's tough to go against Philadelphia at home in the cold and with the way that Saquon Barkley runs the ball, and it's revenge for them because Washington beat them the last time out. It's a chance to get a piece of the Chiefs again if Philadelphia wins. Am I copping out if I say ultimately it's the chalk, it's Philadelphia, and it's the Chiefs, it's the 2 home teams? If one of the road teams is going to win, I don't think it's your Bills pick. I think it's the Commanders. But Harry, are you with me here? I'm sensing a lot of chalk. I'm sensing a lot of home fave.
Listen, it's
Eagles,
easy.
Chiefs.
It's really easy to go ahead and pick the sexy pick between Philadelphia and Kansas City. But you're right. Right now, Washington's playing like a team of destiny. Okay, they've had a little bit of luck, and as I told earlier tonight with Seneca, I said I'd rather, especially in gambling, I'd rather be lucky than good any day of the week. But Jaden Daniels is playing some special football, albeit they knocked Jalen Hurts out of that game. Philadelphia had that game in hand. Washington, by a miracle, came back and won that game without Jalen Hurts. But
haven't lost since. Haven't lost since.
They have not lost since. But I'm going to tell you this: Jalen Hurts doesn't scare Washington's defense. And
not currently, not with him limping around, right? Not with him limping around as we saw at the end of that game with the Rams.
And let me tell you something. Dan Quinn is a hell of a defensive-minded coach, and they will put their corners man-to-man on an island against on a receiver, and they will stuff 8.
Bless you.
Thank you. They will stuff 8 or 9 in the box. And they're not going to let Barkley go off in this game. I really, truly believe that Philadelphia is in trouble in this game. And they're 6-point favorites. They started the week out at 4. It's all the way up to 6.
Wow. So the interesting thing is that Washington defensive line that we saw at field level, and Peter, we talked about it that night after the game and in the analysis of that game, they were winning up front for a great portion of that game. And to Harry's point, Detroit really couldn't run the ball. They weren't trying to run the ball once they were behind. That front line with Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen and Cleveland Farrell, the first-round picks all, and Dante Fowler, St. Petersburg, Florida's Dante Fowler, the former Florida Gator, the former multi-time NFL player with several different teams, with the Rams, with the Falcons. Dante Fowler's on that defensive line too. Harry may have hit on something. They may be able to stop up Philadelphia's run game hopes and then put the game on Jalen Hurts.
Saquon Barkley will not run for 100 yards.
Yeah, they may not allow Barkley to run it, and then you're relying on Hurts. Did you see the stat? While we love the stats, that the Eagles ran for over 200 yards and had fewer than 70 yards passing in the game.
Yeah,
they became the first team in the NFL since the 1950s, when the Philadelphia Eagles were the last team to run for 200 and pass for fewer than 70 and win a playoff game. It was the Eagles in the 50s. Wow. And now here we are 70 years later, and they did it again against the LA Rams. But I don't know how much they are going to be able to run it on Sunday. I'm looking forward to both. I would again just couch it as, if one of the two underdog road teams is winning the game, I think it's the Commanders, but tough to beat Philadelphia in this situation for all the reasons given, including revenge and at home. All of that is going to matter.
Let me give you some stats here from that game when Philadelphia lost 36-34 in Washington in a shootout. Kenny Pickett came in and threw for 24 times, completed 14 passes for 143 yards. Jalen Hurts was 1 for 4. Get this, Saquon Barkley, 150 yards, but it took him 30 rushing attempts. 30. Okay. They only completed 15 passes in the game for 154 total yards receiving. Rushing, let me tell you something. They absolutely destroyed them on the ground. Washington, on the other hand, Jaden Daniels was 24 for 39 for 258, and they still ran for 113 yards with a plethora of running backs. Again, Philadelphia had game in hand, and it's hard to beat a team twice. But when you've got a quarterback that's injured and they're playing him out of desperation, in my opinion, and you've got Dan Quinn as a head coach and the certainty of knowing that this quarterback is not going to beat me, but we're going to force this quarterback to beat me, TJ, I think you need to jump on the bandwagon. Look, man, it's a sexy pick. It's a risky pick. But let me tell you something. The price always makes up for the pick. And if you take this Washington team to beat this team outright, you're going to get over 2-1 on your money, which is very strong.
Wow.
And again, they took the ball away on the Detroit Lions, too.
Yes,
they had 3 picks and a strip sack of Jared Goff in that game. Opportunistic defense. Stay tuned. It will not be dull, kids. Listen, I love hanging out with you guys.
Yes.
Stay tuned for whatever happens here with the coaching carousel and with Liam Coen and Jason Light and the Glazers we trust with all of this that's going on. Stay tuned. Never a dull moment.
No, never a dull moment here with the media icon, Mr. TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network. We appreciate the time, as always, here on The Evolution. All right?
Guys, have a great night, and let's hope we get 2 good games on Sunday. You have me back down the road. I'm happy to be back whenever developments warrant. Fortune cookie sayings or otherwise. Harry, my brother. You guys have a good night.
Hey, maybe this weekend I will have to come out to Tampa. Maybe the same place. A little chicken wing.
You never know.
I would like
it. Inviting me to go to the Sponge Docks and have the Greek.
Let's go.
Chicken wings could be in the offing. You never know.
Hey,
Love it.
lamb kebabs and gyros and shish
I've never
kebabs.
been to the Sponge Docks before.
They
How is
don't
that
have very hungry house.
possible? How is that possible? That's
I never
another
been
discussion for
yes.
another night on the Sports Web.
Yes, I've never been to Disney World either, and I've never seen
How
snow
is
before.
that possible?
You've
I can
never seen
understand the
snow?
third thing. Well, the third thing is if you live here, it hasn't snowed since '77.
Yeah, I don't remember
So
that.
if you live here but you don't travel, it's amazing. But on the first two, the Sponge Docks are close, and Disney's not that far away.
And you used to live in the town just north of it called No Place Really. I mean,
Right,
you were
in
like
Newport.
right down the road.
Newport Richie.
You've never had I'll say it like an American. You never had a gyro?
A gyro, right? Not a euro.
Peter?
No, I have not. No.
All right, come on. We got to get that to happen at some point here in 2025. That's our objective over the next 11 and a half months. Kids, be well.
All right.
All things football, food, and otherwise. Have a good
We love
night.
you.
All
TJ,
right.
we love you, man. Thanks for coming
Good stuff.
on tonight.
There
You're
you go.
awesome,
The
brother.
media icon. I
I
know
absolutely
you.
love him.
I love him too. I love him on here, and we're gracious for his time because we're going over 11:15. We usually do turnbuckle talk. No Ralph Williams, no Mark Mancini. We also had a late start tonight at 9:30. But you know what? I think this was a great show with Seneca Wallace coming on and Leo Haggerty, and now him. And I know you've got to get out of here, so go ahead and promote yourself. Give me your picks here, your final picks for championship weekend here on the Evolution.
Wow. Buffalo, Washington. And if you don't have the guts, take them with the points. It's just as simple as that.
Okay. All right, my friend. Appreciate the time as always, Mr. Harry the Greek. Will get the sound effects back going again. You can't hear this, can you?
Jesus. Nope, can't hear it. Thank God. Anyway, Pete, have a really good night, but I know what you did. Let's go. Have a great day.
Good stuff there. Let's go out to the phone line. Sun Devil Dave, welcome to the Evolution.
Great job, guys.
Great job.
Amazing
Yes.
show.
Thank you.
Hey, real quick, I want to talk about, is Greek, you still with us?
Greek is not. He is gone. He's
Okay.
gone. But what's your question?
Real quick, you were talking about bad beats.
He's
I
back.
forgot about that Texans Chiefs games because when it was 23-12, before they did that safety, they lined up for a 35-yard field goal. I
Correct.
think the line was 8.5 or 9, right?
Yes.
Correct.
So it should have been an easy field goal. And Fairburn, it was a block, but the ball didn't even. I mean, I think it hit one of the Chiefs in the chest.
Mm-hmm.
It was a horrible kick. I mean, it made you scratch your like, wow, and like almost looked like he deliberately missed it. It was just really strange. I mean, it was a really horrible kick. It was low, and it should have been an easy. I know it was cold and everything, but it should have been an easy field goal, and it would have covered. I just wanted to add that because it would have brought it down, I believe, to what 9 or 8, 9 points or 8 points at the time.
Yes, it would have. Was there a question for me?
We were talking about bad beats, and I just wanted to bring that up.
I hate talking about bad beats, but thanks for the question. Deuces, brother, I gotta go.
All right, there he is.
Okay.
He's out of there.
Real
Go
quick.
ahead, Sun Devil.
Okay, real quick on it really depends on Jalen Hurts' knee because if he's going to be a pocket passer, how that's going to affect as far as the defensive schemes, what the Commanders are going to run.
Okay.
Because then his mobility is going to be limited. And again, I agree with Greek saying that I think they're going to shut down Barkley. I don't think he's going to get close to 200 yards. And with Daniel's poise and the way he handles pressure and the way he doesn't flinch, I mean, I'm gonna go Commanders Bills in the Super Bowl.
All right, Commanders Bills. There you go. That's your pick for the championship weekend there.
And then no turnbuckle talk tonight.
No turnbuckle talk tonight. We'll save it for next week. All right.
All right. Great job, guys.
All right, man. Great job
Thanks,
to you.
guys.
Great job. Let's go out to Ed here. Ed, go ahead. Welcome to the Evolution.
Hey, so anyways, how's Godwin doing? Is he coming along okay or?
Well, it looks like he'll be back next year. Definitely looks like he will be back and back in the fold, of course, coming off the dislocated ankle. It's an injury that we haven't heard any complications or anything like that. So again, he's going to be a free agent. There's a decision to make for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team, and we'll see if they bring him back. I think they will. It won't be as high of a market, I don't believe, because of that injury, which is a blessing in disguise, in my opinion, for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team, because they won't have to pay him as much as originally thought.
Do you think maybe it's going to take a year for him to get really back? Like he'll come in and be limited next season?
I don't know, but yeah, I think it's a good problem to have because now you have Jalen McMillan who's really stepped up. So if it does take him a little while to get back, you still have McMillan to depend on, and they still have a plethora, Leo word, of weapons on this team on the outside, especially at the tight end position, where you found not only Cade Otton, but when he went down, Payne Durham did a pretty good job, and Devin Cope did a pretty good job. So they have plenty of weapons at this point.
They do, but you can never have too many.
Agree.
You know,
agree, because injuries happen. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we lost Godwin, and we saw what happened. I think they would have probably made the Super Bowl if they didn't lose Godwin. But anyways, so let's talk about Buck needs now. I think the Bucs need an outside rusher.
Okay.
I think they need another dominant. I mean, I wish I could like clone Vita Vea like 3 times.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice to do that. Yes.
Yeah, it would be nice to do that. Then no one would be able to run against us. They'd have to throw the ball every time.
Right.
But anyways, you know, they need an outside rusher. I think they need another defensive lineman too. I think they really should get a dominant defensive lineman, somebody who can definitely rush the quarterback.
Well, I think that's the number one concern at this point. And I think you got to go and get a veteran, and maybe you make a trade. And yeah, I don't know who you make a trade for, but I think that's, I've thrown names out there. You know, Max Crosby. It's a tough get, but you might have to give up a couple premium picks. I don't know if the Raiders are going to give them up. You know, Myles Garrett, he seems to be unhappy with his situation. You know, Josh Sweat, he's 30 years old, free agent for the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of people mention Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack's up there in age, about 35 years old. Do you kick the tires on him? Not going to cost you a lot. He's going to play another year. Still, playing at some type of a good level. Definitely an improvement over what the Bucs have at this point. I don't think you necessarily can just go into the draft, but you more than likely could go into the draft. And then remember, they did get Chris Braswell, and they're expecting some development out of him. Yaya Diaby at that point. I still feel like you got to do it twice. You got to go out and try to trade for a veteran, get somebody, or maybe in free agency, and then also draft one.
Yeah, I kind of like Braswell because he's not just a pass rusher. He can stop the run too.
But he hasn't shown anything at this point, but you just hope for the development next year, right. But you're exactly right. Yeah.
It's flashes.
Right.
It's those flashes of greatness, and that's what you usually get out of a first-year player. That's a hard position.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and that's the reason why, you don't necessarily would draft somebody at the end of the day, because they may not necessarily come in and give you what you exactly need at this point.
Exactly. So also, I actually do think they need to look at getting maybe a veteran for a DB or a corner. I think that would help the young DBs very well, or the cornerbacks very well.
Well, you may be looking at, Jamel Dean maybe gone here, maybe taking less money. He's been inconsistent, so you definitely have that position to need, and maybe you draft it. I think a lot of people would assume that this Bucs draft coming up here in the next couple months would solely be based on defense, and it needs to be on defense. It needs to be edge rusher, cornerback, and of course, possibly 2 linebackers, a middle, and somebody that can replace Levante David. I like Savasi Dennis, and I think the Bucs do too. But the problem is he's not able to stay healthy consistently.
Yeah, he's been out most of the year.
Yeah,
I think I only saw him like 1 or 2 games.
Yeah.
So that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's just not going to cut it. It's really not going to cut it. So offensively, I would consider maybe drafting another running back, but I think we're solid.
I think you're solid at running back at this point. You got 3 good running backs.
Every position.
Right.
Except maybe some offensive line depth, maybe. But
right.
Yeah, I think at this point you're just gonna, if you're gonna go offense, you're just gonna draft for depth.
Well, it just depends on what they want to do with Brederson, because Brederson, besides Godwin, is the main free agent, so you would expect them to bring him back. And if they don't, then they go with Elijah Klein, or you draft for need at that point, maybe in the later rounds for a left guard, which is what Jason Light does. But I would expect them to re-sign a Brederson at left guard.
Yeah, the good news is Liam Cohen's gonna be back, and I was really worried about that.
Well, we'll see, because, again, nothing is official at this point. I put it out there, and the report came out today from Adam Schefter, and he's pretty accurate, but nothing is official at this point. So we'll see if he does come back officially when that announcement. But I think he does come back in the fold.
I heard on another podcast that I listened to that he signed an extension to his contract.
Well, no, that's not official at this point. Nothing from the Bucs. Yeah, nothing from the Bucs at this point. So, yep.
All right, man.
All right, man.
Well, it was good talking to you.
I appreciate you, Ed, as always. All right, good stuff there. Let me go ahead and read the comments, and then we'll get out of here for the night. First says KR. KR, evening, Peter and crew. Go Bucs. So happy Coach Coen is back. Certainly looks like he's going to be. Roger Shue says, way to be on time, Peter. Thank you. Tim says, good evening, Peter. Go Bucs, says Christopher Cole. Dave Ruffalo, Sun Devil Dave, says, great job. Great job to you. Balky is fired, says Christopher Cole. Yes, no sound effects. I don't know why. Good move by the Bucs. Thank you, Trevor. I know you called before. You have to call back the next time we're on. I'm so glad Baker Mayfield to have at least for a second year for an excellent offensive coordinator. Greek, you have your guy in Chicago, Ben Johnson, baby. Dave Ruffalo says 2011 Giants 2. That's not true. 2010 Packers, 11 Giants, 20 Bucs, all win 3 playoff games and won the Super Bowl. Mike COC, to see Daniels get away or have so many answers when he had free runners was truly something to appreciate. Tom says Ben Johnson better not be Matt Nagy. Dave Ruffalo, oops, 2011 Giants actually played 1 home game. Tom, Seneca is the best. He is. Dave, Hurts played with a bad knee for most of the game, right? Absolutely. What's Seneca's opinion on Ben Johnson on Caleb? We talked about that. Tristan says, I'm sure they said the same thing about Jim Kelly and getting over the hump eventually. Nothing is guaranteed in football, but I just feel like Josh Allen, the kind of year he's having, and this team right now is destined to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Good afternoon. Good night. Yes, good job. I'll be open to the number 1 again. What's up here? He says, Kenny, Tom, I guess Mr. Williams saying he's going to call back. That's what I thought. That's what I got out of that. He did answer the question. Kenny, Seneca, go Bucs. Seneca is 200 million times better than Brady. Michael, really good stuff. Thank you very much. The Greek himself, he said he thought it would work. So, yes, he is the answer. We, the Thunder, great day for the Buccaneers. Who makes the call to keep Coen? I definitely think it's the Glazers, and also in conjunction with Jason Light and the staff. Dang, I hope this doesn't come back to bite us. Jay says, salute to P and the whole panel. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you as always. Bobby says, Baker, 7 offensive coordinators in 7 years. That's absolutely correct. And we always talk about the offensive coordinators and, quarterback development and how it ruins a quarterback and how important it is to have that consistent offensive coordinator. The 2 jobs I feel would have been best for Liam are the Bears and Patriots. Once they were filled, his decision was probably easier, not to mention the raise he's going to get by staying here. Scott Bradford, a Bucs Live, appreciate you. For Jacksonville to be a better job, they have to hire the right GM to attract a good coach. Christopher Cole, Brady isn't coming in as quarterback. Dave, again, don't forget about Texans get that field goal blocked against the Chiefs. Realtor David Zeusman, thank you very much for tuning in here on YouTube. Coen showed that he's smart enough to delay gratification to be a very important part of the team that could become a Super Bowl dynasty starting as early as this coming season. I like that. Christopher Cole, no 0 blitz on 3rd and 11 was the game. David, again, very young, talented team. We could be a powerhouse for the next 10 years to come if we start reinforcing the team better during free agency and stop overreaching by trying to solve all the roster roles. Good point in the draft. Eric says, hi, everyone. What's going on? Ray, if you're looking to sign a splash, a defensive end, a pass rusher, are we sure Chris Godwin is back in 2025? I think he is going to be back. We need to make one more move to guarantee a Super Bowl caliber offensive line. We need to sign Drew Dahlman, move Graham Barton to left guard. I don't see that happening. I understand where you're coming from, but I believe they're really satisfied with what Barton did and also what Bredesen did at left guard. Could trade for Hill? No. $30 million, not happening. Don't need him. Thanks for the love, X. Absolutely, Eric. What do you think about the Hill rumors? Nonsense. Drew Dahlman is a mauler. Can you imagine if our offensive line is Wirfs, Barton, Dahlman, Mock, and Gadecki? That is enough for 3 Super Bowls in the next 6 years. Christopher Cole, not if the refs have anything to say about it. Ray, I wouldn't trade Godwin for Hill, as Antonio Brown would play for a veteran minimum in a slot, which ironically is where Godwin would be if he's back in 2025. Game on regardless. If we get Liam Coen, we are not going to be the favorites to win division. Why? Because Todd Bowles' defense. David, again, Super Bowl will be Bills versus Commanders. Eagles will choke like they always do in key moments. Good comment. The Bucs will not be the favorites to win the division because Bulls remember the Falcons and the national media. Absolutely. And game on the Bucs. Again, Penix is better than Cousins. We shall see. Thanks a lot to all the guests tonight. We'll wrap it up right there. Thanks a lot. Again, like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Friend me on Facebook at Peter H. Blake. Do 3 things here on a Wednesday night edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for fans of the Sports Web and the Tampa Bay sports fan, especially you Go Bucs fans, it's your time. We'll see you next time on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. As always, Go Bucs.